Hey guys, I'm Ash.
And I'm Pete.
We're two friends with a combo of 7 kids ranging from toddlers to 20s and 2 crazy husbands.
Our paths were not easy. With childhood battle wounds, divorce, second marriages and all, we somehow found each other. And together we talk real life, laugh, cry, and figure out how to survive the day.
Music is by Decibel Champion. To hear Decibel Champion's newest hits, search Decibel Champion on Spotify. Hey guys, it's Ash and P.
Hey.
So this may or may not make it to a cut, but no, really.
You're jumping in.
No, I know. I am.
Okay.
I'm going for it, and I want to have real talk because maybe or maybe I have not. No, actually, maybe I've had a little to drink, so it opens. I feel like it.
You just had date night with your husband.
I had a date night with my husband,
which is very, I feel like, few and far between.
It is. And it's so important.
It
really is.
It really is.
And so...
And I love that you decided after your date night to come back here and record.
I know, right? I'm going to have my date night and then come celebrate with you all. No, but really, my boys are so sweet. Like, I told them, Dad and I are going to have a date night. And they were like, really? You are? They were very sweet about it.
Oh, that's good.
Because I tried to tell them, like, it's very important that your dad and I date each other and that
you guys connect.
Yeah, that we have good times and that, like, things aside from just them.
Yes.
It's so important because
it is very easy to connect for our kids.
As a parent, yeah. Yes. Like, I mean, I could connect with you.
I can connect with anyone as a parent.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so to connect with your significant other as a parent.
On a different level.
On the same person that, like, okay, so say you were one parent child. It'd be so easy to focus on that one little guy, right?
Right.
You just do everything for that person, but it is so much more. And I don't mean to say anything like your kids aren't important or that I almost feel like people judge on this level.
No,
I do.
No, here's what I'll say. I've always been my kids come first. My kids come first.
Absolutely.
My kids come first. My kids can't serve themselves. They can't feed themselves. My husband can.
Yeah.
Until I have been, and granted, I was married before, but until I have been in the marriage that I'm in with my husband, who I love and adore, and I love my kids so much.
Yes.
But the more I am, the longer I am married, I guess we'll say, the more I realize how much more important it is
to be with him.
Yes.
To have that time alone. And I love that about you. And I
with him.
And to be honest, and this might be like a what, but I feel like you guys remind us to do that. Like, we've been around a little longer.
Yes.
Maybe we've become a little more stale.
Well, you guys have been married a lot longer. Your kids are older. And that does make changes things. It changes things. The dynamic changes. I mean, I tell him that. I'm like, imagine if we didn't have the littles and we only had Tristan.
Oh my gosh.
It's so different.
Remember before the littles came along and it was just her?
Yeah.
It was so different.
Different.
And so that's what,
it's not that it's better or worse. It's just different.
It is
different.
what it is.
Yes.
It really is what it is. And I feel like, with my boys, and I always feel like Jason and I are very much friendly, with our kids. And I think sometimes that harms us. I think sometimes that's good for us. It's difficult. It's very hard to get a exact, this is perfect kind of situation with teens.
Oh yeah.
I think, you look back and you think there are times that this was great with T. And there are times that it's like, oh my gosh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's
totally.
There's no right or wrong. I kind of think it's based on that kid.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It really is hard, especially because you try to give equal attention to all of the kids. You know, like, especially for you, you have one kid who, even though she's older, I feel like she needs so much more attention. Right? You know, don't you think?
Absolutely.
And then you have two kids that are smaller who you feel like you would need to give so much more attention because they cannot do things on their own. You know, like, you have to do things for those ones.
But in all honesty, it's like
psychologically, the older one needs so much more.
Completely, 100%. But as we've gotten through all of the battles and the mountains and the things that we've gone through, because my oldest is 16 now,
right?
So we're almost at the end.
I feel like you are. Yes, you are really reaching
almost
there.
At the end of like that portion. Yeah. Granted, you're never going to stop parenting. I'm not saying that.
No, but you feel like you have to be attached,
completely engulfed in every aspect of their life. I need
to make sure you're
raising
them
until she goes off to school. And I'm still going to raise her from a distance, but it's going to be different. But knowing all that I know and going through what we've gone through, and Tony and I have been together since Tristan was in kindergarten. I have realized along the way that it is the most important that we are strong, that we work on us. Yeah. So as much as I can say, oh, my kids come first, actually, I kind of take a step back, and I don't necessarily know that that's true anymore.
I agree.
I don't. And I never thought that I would be that person, because I think especially coming as like more of a single mom standpoint and being raised by a single mom.
Yeah.
Kids are the most important, right? Like my mom went through a really bad time with my dad, and then a really bad time with my stepdad. And I always felt like she didn't put us first. So I always felt like I had to put my kids first. And I have realized in growing, and with the right person, of course, this happens, but I've realized it's not that I had to put my kids second. It's that I had to realize that if I found the right person, I should put him first, because that means I'm putting us first. And that means that I am creating the home for our children.
Yes.
You know, the example for our children.
Absolutely.
And but it's because when you don't have the right person, you put your kids first, no matter what, because it's not I can't even explain it, except for the fact that, you know what I mean?
It's crazy, because what you're saying and your physical like reactions, it's funny, because as someone coming in, I mean, I was young when Jason and I started dating. I was 20 years old. I had no children. I came from, my biological father wasn't involved. My stepfather raised me. There was a huge mess. Like, everything was crazy. By 14, my parents were, like, my stepdad and my mom, they were separated. Those are my real parents, right? Like, so when I reference my dad, it's always going to be my stepdad. You know, he's who raised me, right? So, but all of that, it was crazy. So when I started dating Jason, I am 20 years old, and
You're a baby.
I was a baby. And I was just having this conversation with my friends, like, if my kids were coming to me, if my girls were coming to me, Kyla,
you would tell
Deja,
them no.
Kyla, Deja, they're Jason's girls, right? But they're my girls, because, gosh, Deja was 6. Oh, yeah. That's the oldest, right? 6, like 6 is the oldest. They're my girls. They are.
Yeah.
And I would tell them, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
And only because it's hard. It is so hard to break into that. And like, I think Tony is like an all-star. I do. As a parent who came in like on the back end, right? Like Tony is to me like as I am to him. You know, like we're equals as far as relationships go. And I don't know, I feel that same heart in him as I do as me.
Mm-hmm.
These girls, I didn't birth them, but they're my girls, right? Like I never had biological daughters, but they're my girls.
Well, yeah. I mean, when people say to him, like, oh, you know, I've heard him like, oh, do you guys have kids? And he's like, yeah, we have 3 girls.
3 daughters.
Like, we have 3 girls.
Exactly.
Like, it's not even a question of anything. And granted, I mean, and Tristan isn't. And and her dad is still involved.
Exactly. No, he is not. And I am not. And
their mom is still involved.
And that's a crazy thing is that before it was a little more difficult, but now it's like their mom, I'm so good with their mom. And she's so good with me. And we're okay. And that's fine. And when it all started, I mean, Deja was 6 years old. Like our oldest was 6. Yeah. She was 6. Yeah. That's young.
Yeah.
But as far as it goes, it's like, everyone always said to me, you don't want a daughter. Like, you don't want to have a daughter of your own. And I'm like, no, they're enough. Like, they're enough for me. And I never felt like I was shorted. You know what I mean? Like, some people might feel like I didn't have this or I didn't have that. I never felt slighted. I never felt like I was missing out on anything.
Well, you love his girls, and I'm telling you, I think that the whole point of this is, you know, it's important to work on you guys too, because that's what builds the rest of your family.
As we got older, I have to be honest, when the boys were younger, it was very difficult. There was a point in time where honestly, I didn't think we would make it.
Why?
But
no, hold on. But hold on. When I say why, I don't mean like details. I mean like, did you feel like you had enough in you to make it work? Because I feel like it gets tough.
It does.
It doesn't matter how much you love someone.
You're right. Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. There are times where things get tough.
It does.
But I feel like there's those who can say, well, you know what, it was, things got tough and I decided to walk away. Or, you know what, things got tough and so I decided to look the other way, or I decided to go the other way, or whatever. But when you know things are tough, it doesn't mean it's the end, but it feels scary and it feels like the end.
It feels like the end. It really does. It does. About, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, it felt like we were at the end. Like it felt like we were very roommate-y.
Because you focus on the kids.
Yeah.
It's absolutely easy to do that.
And it's hard, you know, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of my background. I don't know what it was. You know, whenever it was the girls versus the boys, I tried really, really hard to make sure the girls knew they were important. I didn't ever want them to feel like they were not as important as the boys. At a point in time in my parents' marriage, I overheard a conversation, and I overheard that basically, like, Ashley and Steven are your favorite. Like, pretty much we were nothing, but because my mom favored us, almost like we weren't important. There was a lot going on. I mean, growing up, it wasn't great, right? Mm-hmm. But there was kind of that disconnect where I felt like I wasn't as important to my dad. He was the only dad I knew. My biological dad, yeah, he was there, but as far as whoever raised me, who was there, I didn't know anything else. And so when he said that, it hurt. It hurt a lot. Like, I don't know that I ever really addressed it, to be honest.
Yeah.
He made it seem like Steve and I were these like what do you call them? Like precious children, right? Like they're these golden children and they're so great and you're never going to hold anything against them and blah, 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 whatever. The other kids, yada, yada, yada. But Stephen and Ashley, you're never going to be like that. And so I did feel a resentment toward my dad. Like he wasn't my biological dad, but the only dad I ever knew.
Well, can I tell you this? I think that a lot of my ideas of the fact that my kids have to come first comes from the fact that my mom never put us first.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when those mindsets get into your head from childhood, mm-hmm. it makes you think that the way you're going to raise your family and your kids is going to be a specific way.
Yeah.
So since I didn't come first to my mom,
right,
I'm going to make my kids come first to me.
Right.
And let me tell you, it has taken me, and it is still taking me, but it has taken me a long time to realize it is not about putting my kids first and putting my husband last. It is not about me putting them last and my husband first. It has nothing to do with that. There isn't a title. It's the fact that I will do absolutely anything for my kids, and I will absolutely do anything for my husband.
Yeah.
And I love them all, and it's a different love, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's different in the fact that, but I can see the two and how important they both are.
Yeah.
I love my kids. Today we were sitting on the ground playing a game, mm-hmm. and I love that I am interacting with my kids and giving them the time that they want with me. And when they want mommy, I try to make sure that I have mommy. But when my husband needs me, which he does need me, it's not because he's just wanting me because I'm
sexual.
Yeah, it's not because I'm just like his person.
And the only reason I say that is a lot of times we feel like when we come to those relationships and
it has to be sexual.
It's
more than that. It's so much more than that. And it's more of, I've put him in the point that where it's like, I mean, today it was like simple, and it was,
mm-hmm.
This is probably too much for some of our listeners, but I'm making out with him and I tell him, I'm like, I love you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's
not too much for me.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
no,
I love you. I love you. And I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And thank you for everything that you are.
Yes.
And it's those things that it's like, call me whatever.
But
at the same time, like, that is important. And we need that.
We
need that
as partners, because
we need that as partners, and our family needs that.
Our family does, because when you answered your door, what did you say to us? Stop making out. And we weren't even making out, but it was one of those moments where you feel very close to that person. You do. And
you guys were kissing at my front door.
No.
But it was cute. It was cute. It was sweet.
But it was one of those moments where we didn't have our kids. We didn't have to worry about that. But it was just us.
Yes.
And to be honest, as parents, it is very hard to come by those moments.
It is.
It is, because especially with young ones.
Yeah.
It is. Like, for me to come by those moments and you to come by those moments, it's different. But I will tell you, I told Jackson, we told him, we called him on our way out and we said, hey, we're going to go out. Mom and dad, we're going to go out. We're going to have a date night. And he said, wow, really? And I said, yeah, why? And he said, it's just been a while.
Oh.
Yeah, which made me think like, I don't know. As a kid, when I think back as a kid with my parents, and when I was a teenager, things were a hot freaking mess. No joke, things were a disaster. Mm-hmm. Cops arrived, it was a disaster, right? My uncle, my dad's twin, had passed away when I was 14. My dad lost his shit. It was a mess. But when Jackson said, really, it's been a while, I thought, okay, I like that. Like, I like that he realizes, and I've tried to tell the boys multiple times, like, we need time together. Your dad and I need time together. Like, we love you guys so much, but it is so important that your dad and I love each other.
Yes.
It is, because, and growing up, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. Really honestly. And as much as I love my dad, he was never there for my mom. He wasn't. He cheated on her. Just a mess. Yeah, right? But as parents, it's so important that you have that together.
Well, it is. And obviously your kids pay attention to it. Right?
It was funny when he said, like, oh, it's been a long time, because I thought he was going to be like, oh, again. I feel like every time we come over here, he thinks we're having a date night, right? Uh-huh. Yeah. And so we're like, we're going to go to dinner. And he was like, oh, it's been a while. I love that.
Yeah.
I want him to have that with his wife.
Right.
I do, because I just
and that's the thing, is that it is important, and we know it's important, and we know it's going to be important for our kids. Yeah. So why aren't we doing it?
Because we put them first.
We
do. And it's hard.
It's a hard balance.
It is. It's a hard balance.
Yes.
Do you put them first? Do you put them equal? I don't know. It's like, I have a hard time. My kids are older, so it's a little different from you. But I feel like with my kids and my husband, I feel like, of course my kids are important. But I feel like he's very, very important.
But
he's who I'm going to be with forever. In 10 years, he's who I'm going to be with.
I agree. Your kids are going to leave.
In 10 years, none of them are going to be here.
They're going to be gone. And it's going to be you and him. And you don't want to stand in the room and go, who the fuck are you? And what do we do?
Yeah.
Because I don't even know how to act around you.
No, I want us to have fun times. It can't be that way. I know. I want us to know what he enjoys, what I enjoy. I want us to know that.
Okay. Right? So we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to continue to talk about this, because it is a hot topic.
And
it's important. It is important. And since you've had a couple of drinks,
95. I'm just kidding. Not
you're a little more. You're a little more open to talking.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll be right back. Thanks. Hey guys, it's Ash and P. We're back. And
this may or may not appear on an episode.
It will, but and the reason why is because it's super real, and we were just talking about this
very
off air about what we have to offer our partners. And sometimes we feel like we don't have a lot to offer.
Right.
It's just us. Like, it's just us, and just us is like, like
nothing.
What, like bare bones. Like, what is that? What is just us?
Like, cool, I'm a person. Yeah. Here you go. Like, when they do say like a stupid movie where it's like, here you have this great person who's gonna pretend you're a partner in this, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what sometimes I feel I have to offer. Like, I don't have a lot to offer, as in I'm not providing all of these great things.
What do you think those great things are?
So I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do all these amazing things that wives like you do.
Well, hold that line for just a second. I'm not so sure that I am like so awesome and I clean my floors bare minimum of what I can get away with. Okay.
They're clean.
There's a reason why everything is chocolate. I have chocolate floors, chocolate couch, and chocolate dog. There's a reason. Because they all blend together.
I love it. It's perfect. It's perfect.
So I'm a facade.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love a facade. I love it all.
To look like I'm clean, but I'm really
it's
not.
Perfect. It's really perfect.
But here's what I think. I think that sometimes we think like and I'll say this for myself because I didn't grow up with money. Mm-hmm. I didn't grow up with I didn't grow up with much. I grew up in a broken home. I grew up with parents who were pregnant at 15 and 17 and who had me at 16 and 18 and who obviously did not last. And then a stepdad who was a complete monster and the most terrible human that I literally I've ever witnessed walk this life. I mean, he really is. And I grew up with nothing special about anything that I grew up with.
Right.
And I learned in my first marriage, and this is where I have a little bit of leg on you or people with their marriage. You have a leg in the sense of like you and Jason have been married much longer. And so you guys have experienced more, you guys have gone through more because your relationship has been a longer span. Whereas in my marriage, it is still what people would say, oh, you guys are newlyweds. Yeah, we are. We were together 6 years before I said I do. You know what I mean? Like we were married a long time before I said yes.
Yes.
But I was married before, and the leg I have on being married before is I realized a couple of things. One is it doesn't matter what background you come from.
Right.
You can have the best or you can have the worst. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You two are what matters. Yeah. And the amount of respect that you have for each other and the amount of work you have for each other is what matters. And what also matters is that you guys make yourselves important to each other.
Yeah.
And that's where I come full circle back to what we were talking about before break, where it's like I realized that my kids weren't my number one most priority.
Right.
They became a little bit not to say they were like down on the totem pole and they weren't important. It's just that my husband, I realized that relationship is just as important because I need to nourish that. And I need to accept what it is and I need to help it grow. And it will not grow if I expect him to have it grow on its own.
Right.
I need to help it grow.
Yeah.
And I need to show him that I am just as into him as he is into me.
Yeah.
And I need to like give him the attention that, hey, I'm too fucking tired to give him half the time. But I got to give it to him. So he understands that that's how much I appreciate and love him too. And I don't think that I ever gave that to my first marriage, and not to say that wasn't that's not what killed my marriage. I mean, regardless. I mean, here's what I'll say in my first marriage, which if you listen to episode, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you will figure out that, my husband cheated on me and he was unfaithful and he was consistently unfaithful.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize that wasn't because of just me.
Right.
That was also because he had his own issues.
Right.
Maybe if he would have been home instead of at a party, then maybe I would have been his person and not another person in the room, you know. But I think that marriage is not a one answer question. Right. And it's not easy and it's not hard. And it's not to say that you're not going to have ups and downs, and you are, and some ups and downs are different than others.
Right. They are. They really are.
It depends on the people. I mean, I think that me going through my first marriage, I probably am going to get through some hurdles that other people won't, but I also think that I have a lot more hurdles to go through.
Right. I agree. I 100% agree. So obviously Jason was married before, and I do think there are things that we've established that obviously maybe we are not okay with, that possibly was an unknown, maybe, who knows, in his prior marriage. And so those things, maybe she did, maybe it's not okay. Maybe we're not going to do those things. No, for sure, we're not going to do those things.
We're not. Course,
no, that's not going to happen.
That's how we're going to actually make our marriage last, because we're not going to do those things.
Exactly. But it's like those things, and like you had mentioned, it's Tony's first marriage. He is not where you are at.
Yes.
I am not where Jason is at. Now, when I look at things, sometimes I think like, okay, those things happened in your marriage before. Let's not do that. And I'm sure Tony does as well, obviously. However, looking at things, it's tough and it's good to have a second marriage.
Yes.
It's tough because obviously now we have to
deal with our baggage. You have to deal with our baggage.
We do.
You do.
However, we do learn those things that we would have learned in the first relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
Tony knows now that's not okay.
Yes.
It's not. But now...
And he also knows that knows that I am not okay with those things.
Right.
And he has had to, and this is where I give him credit, because he's had to jump through those hoops and hurdles to get through all of that. But at the same time, like, it brings different needs to the table. Mm-hmm. He has different needs than I do. I have different things in my head and desires from our relationship that maybe he does. Maybe he sees more of like this, like, romantic fairy tale land, and I see more of like stability. We're going to do this. Goals. And then I get lost in all of that. And there's been times where I've had to catch myself, because I found myself like, okay, I'm making this more of like we have goals, we have things, we have and we got to meet the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 list. Hold on. I love this person though.
Yeah.
So there's more than just meeting these things. Like, he doesn't have to just meet all these checklists and we don't have to just accomplish all these things. Like, we have to actually really be in love about these things.
Yeah.
And we have to be on the same page. And love is like the core of it all, right?
Right.
It's like we have to love each other through all of it. And we have to love the same values, and we have to love God.
Yeah.
To love all of the things that we love.
Right.
Truly.
Right.
And it's taken us a while, and it's taken us growth, but I think that like, this is where, of course, the kids kind of help with that, but it's like, it's kind of all brought it to like,
yeah,
we love each other.
That's central.
And then we have our family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one day we have to raise our kids the best that they can. And then one day they're going to grow up, and we have to know that they've learned something from us. And if they don't learn that there's core love between mom and dad that helps our family grow, they're going to know, and they're going to see through it.
Absolutely.
Which is why date night is so important.
It is.
Which is why it's important to spend those times together. Which Gigi today, we were like kissing in the kitchen, and she walks in and she goes, "Oh, yeah, Mom, Dad." And she's kind of like giggling at the same time, but she's like, "That is so gross." And I was like, I know, but I love your dad.
Yeah.
And I have to say those things because it's true. And it's like, I need my girls to know, like, not that I want you to like make out with guys. It's that I want you to know, like, I love your daddy. You know, I love your dad. And that's what we're supposed to do.
Right.
You know, we're supposed to love each other.
Yeah. I love that. And I mean, I know not every relationship is going to have that, but I feel like when you do, you know that's your person.
And you know, like when I saw you guys through my little peephole today, and you guys are making out on the porch. I love that because even though I gave you a hard time about it, I absolutely love that because you guys need that.
You do. You really, really do. Having your alone time with the kid, like without the kids, is so important.
It is.
It is the kid. And that's what I try. I tell the boys all the time, like, because I used to feel so guilty. You know, as a parent,
I know.
There's that guilt. Like, I'm feeling guilt because I'm spending time with this other person that isn't the kids, and
we're not at home making macrame, whatever. Yeah, potholders. Yeah,
right. Yeah, there is all this guilt, and you feel so bad about it. But one thing I told the boys, and I think it's so important having, like, Jason and I've gone through stuff. You know, it's not like everything's been peachy keen, everything's been great. Right. It's like we've gone through stuff, and we know that time together is so important, and it's important for our kids to see that.
Yes.
It's not just important for us. It really, really is important for the kids to see that. So for the boys, you know, I made it a point for them to know Dad and I are going out on a date night tonight. That way they know it's not just
and I gotta say, like, you know, kids can go, oh, gross, sick, Mom, Dad, whatever. But it's important for them to see you be affectionate with each other.
It is. It's so important.
And I'm gonna say this on air, and this is gonna be real, and my husband's gonna listen to us and go, what the fuck, why'd you say that? But you know, there are times where, I mean, he has grabbed me very few times in front of our kids, like grab me, like grab my butt, grab me, whatever. And it's been very few, you know, my husband is a gentleman. And but when he does, it's like, it's okay because you're my husband. Right. And those are okay. You know, that's okay. I think he's so worried about like him being inappropriate in front of our family. But it's like, but you're my husband. Yeah. And I don't want our girls to be like, to not know that it's affection between their mom and dad, because one day they're going to grow up and they're going to get older. And you know what? I hope you still grab me, and I hope you still hold my hand. And I still hope that you are that way with me when they're gone and it's just us two. Yeah. You know, that's the goal. Like, that's for me, the goal of like, let's still have that affection in 30 years when our kids are grown and gone and it's just us.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. I don't know. I know things are awkward as kids become teenagers and all of that stuff, but I want them to realize, like, I love your dad. Yeah. I do. I love your dad, and your dad loves me, and that's okay. And, you know, I mean, obviously, as they get older, it may become more awkward and whatever, but I just want them I want them to know it's okay. It's normal. Like, that is all I ever have dreamed for. You know, that my kids would have that normalcy.
And it's a lot of it is because we didn't.
I know. We didn't. Our parents were so messed up. And I just want my kids to see what normal parents are like.
We have we have good husbands.
We do.
We have good husbands. And with lots of hard work,
right?
Always, but we're always going to make it work because those are the people that we are. Those are the people that we've always wanted to be. And truly, I feel like our husbands are good men, that's what they want to be as well.
I agree.
And it'll help us grow old. And listen, all in all, we will grow old together.
Yes.
It'll always be you and I. You and I will always grow old.
Yeah.
Together. We went through this Christmas, and it's so weird and bizarre because I feel like we have our family that is so close to us, but I feel like you guys are so family.
Yeah.
For us.
No.
So it's almost weird going like 3 or 4 days without
seeing you. I know. It's so weird.
And I'm like, why? What is going on? Why haven't we seen
them?
I
know. It's stupid holidays. It's dumb. I know.
It's because we're trying to give our attention to, the family.
Yeah. The biologicals.
But we got a sweet gift, and so I can't.
Oh my gosh. We're going to share it to you guys, and we hope you love it. I mean,
I know. They'll probably see it before this even airs, but
I know. It is the sweetest thing, though.
I know.
Honestly, like, bottom of my heart, I absolutely love it.
I know.
I do.
I know.
So I can't wait for you guys to see it. I know you'll see it before this actually goes out. But
yeah, and then I think next year will be our New Year's Eve podcast.
Yes.
Because I think it'll be the last podcast we air before New Year's Eve.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, not crazy as, oh my gosh. It's just crazy that that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. Yeah.
Yes. And enjoy your family. Enjoy all of that.
And enjoy your spouses. And here's what I'll say. I mean, if you guys don't really love each other, that's something to talk about. But, but if you truly love your husband and you truly love your wife and whatever it is, and I know kids happen, shit happens, situations happen, work happens, schedules happen, all the things. But if you truly, truly, truly love each other and you can make it work, understand how special you are. And understand that when you accept how special each other is to you, your kids will see it. And it just flows through the rest of your family.
Right.
And there is nothing more heartwarming to see a Noni and Papa and a Grandpa and Mimi and a Papa and Nana and a whatever you call them, that actually have affection for each other.
Yeah.
And when you see them hold hands and when you see them love on each other and dote on each other, there is nothing more heartwarming to me. And I would just say in our journey of being 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old in our listenership, remember that is the goal.
Yeah.
And so always have that in your heart that that's the person that you chose to be that with you.
Right.
So hold hands now so you can hold hands later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. Thanks for listening.
Okay. Thanks for swapping with us. Segment music by Callie Grace. For more of Callie Grace's hits, follow Callie Grace on iTunes and Spotify today.